Welcome to Kansas of the Nation, where you don't need a reservation. I said, Mama, hello, stand with open arms. Here to warn you with a one more time. Yeah, one more time, baby. Welcome to the nation. I said, welcome to the nation.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Hempy Hour. I will be one of your hosts, Gina Mama Epps, and
Carter, back from vacation in Bronx.
Flo Carter, back from the real beach to this fucking thing. Not quite the same.
For me, I appreciate
I saved 50 degrees for her, which she's so grateful for.
Well, no, this is our love charm.
Right. We mentioned last week, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we like to tap into a little, mental health awareness. We've talked about our own mental health and kind of the type of things we do. We talked with Christy last week and she mentioned some things. And today we are very excited to introduce you to
John Clayton.
John Clayton. We're so excited. Our LinkedIn buddy. We can't wait.
Yeah, maybe bring some information in about how to take everything that we're practicing to better mental health and apply it to other areas of our life. Right?
Yes, his expertise.
Yeah, it's a full circle situation. Let me get John in.
Hey.
Hello. Hi.
Welcome.
Delighted to be here. And how are you? How are you both?
Well, we're better now. We're hanging out with you.
Oh, perfect. I've been wanting to come to your show now for a while, and I know we spoke about it, and I'm finally on, and I'm delighted to be here.
Yes, and we are delighted that you are here. Thank you.
Pleasure's all mine.
Go ahead.
So yeah, John, creating a culture of experience, right? In the workplace, behavior specialist, right? What does that all mean?
Behavior and culture. I think the thing I've noticed over the years in my life, and when I say culture, I don't just mean in a work culture. I'm talking in families, I'm talking in friends, in organizations, non-commercial, it doesn't have to be commercial. Mm-hmm. But the glue what sticks things together, the glue what sticks society together, the glue what sticks organizations together in any way is culture. And I think culture gets seriously underlooked. I think it gets brushed under the carpet. And I think there's a lot of pretending going on, a lot of pretending in terms of taking culture seriously. What's the mindset and what's the frame of mind of a culture? And I see culture as a single entity, like a person. If a person's not feeling great inside their minds at that particular point, things can happen. And I believe that as well as an organization and a culture. So if we see that as a one identity or one entity, and if the culture works, then everything else just fits into place.
Oh, I love it.
A natural balance to the scenario, right?
It is, and you see companies, they have mission statements and values, and they put them on the wall in the staff room. They hang them up, and everybody walks past them every day. But then if you turn around and say to a person, "What's the company values?" It's like, "What values?"
Right.
The values on the wall you walk past, and I've seen that happen. I've seen it happen.
Most of that is, being the mission statement so other people can see you doing that and that, enhancing that experience in that way.
Exactly. And if you don't know it, you don't do it. And it's as simple as that, And mental health, I'm a big believer in mental health. And, if the mental health right in a culture, job done, as far as I'm concerned. Because strategies and performances and management performances and all that kind of stuff, all the crappy little red boxes, what gets ticked all the time, all that becomes that all fits into place into into a really nice jigsaw, you know?
Absolutely.
I mean, we're kind of in a hive, right? You know what I mean? If you use that as a metaphor to it, it's one thing completely throws off the entire system. Nothing functions properly. It's me.
Well, and the stigma behind it, the stigma
Exactly.
that we're not supposed to talk about it. I mean, that's where it like plays into, you know, Lois and I are in the cannabis space, and we feel the same thing. Like there's these stigmas placed on things that we're supposed to just not talk about, or it's supposed to be a secret, or you have to be embarrassed or feel less than, and fuck that, all of it. Like it's enough, and it's going to take adults that you see functioning on a daily basis to show the world that, listen, we're all struggling and we all deal with shit and we all have stories, and let's just come together instead of trying to bring each other down over this stuff that we're all dealing with.
I mean, most of their caged world is because they can't talk about things. Right. And then you have people, you know, talk to people, reach out to people about your problems, but you don't learn how to do that because you've been playing in your head for so long.
Yes.
And you're battling with people's how they're going to interact with you. Do you even have the ability to interact with them in a meaningful way?
Right.
You know, so it's really hard. So that what that does is takes the pressure off the people that are suffering it.
I think it does, yeah. You know, and it does, it gets swept under the carpet, and it's like, you know, if we, you know, unresolved things that get swept under the carpet, it just becomes friction, you know, internally, but also externally as well, because whatever's in the mind, whatever things are going on, you know, I can guarantee, and you know this, things happen externally, and now I think society now is warming up. We're warming up. We're becoming a little bit more liberated in terms of, you know, telling people, being open about how we feel and what we're struggling with. And I think what happens is people listen to that. You know, they relate to it. And I've listened to you guys for quite a few weeks now, and I find myself listening and thinking, actually, yes, that resonates with me. And then we let go of the fear. You know, they say it's the hope what kills you. It's not. It's the fucking fear.
Absolutely.
You know, it's the fear what kills people.
Powerful, you know, like love and, you know, hate, but no, like fear is the most powerful human emotion. Survival mechanism. So it's inherently in us, right? We can't. You can change how you react to things you're afraid of. That's where we have the power. But our basic instinct is to fear things to save our life. And that
makes you illogical. Yeah. It makes you not think straight. It makes you, you know, you're working on emotion, and maybe you don't even have all the information you need to be afraid or not afraid, or what that comes with. And
indecision itself has its own fears that pile onto it.
Yes, exactly. And thankfully now, you know, we talk about culture, and I think now global culture now is just starting to turn. You know, it's starting to happen now where people are talking about mental health, emotions, struggles, things what might have even been taboo, you know, even 4 or 5 years ago. And I think it takes people to be brave and to say, you know what, enough's enough. Let's talk about it. Let's all grow up. We're adults. Let's talk, and everything. Then, you know, it takes the monkey off the back, so to speak. You know, and a repressed mind. You know, there's nothing worse than a repressed mind. And when we beat repression, you know, when we get rid of all the fear in terms of not talking and not opening up, then, you know, it's liberation. I mentioned that yesterday in one of my posts on LinkedIn, and I think we've got to evolve now. And I think this is, for me, this is now a time of evolution where people now starting to pay attention. You know, and social media, it has a lot of negative publicity, but using it the right way, and using like you guys are doing with Hemp Sisters, I think it's absolutely brilliant. And I take my hat off to you, because we need people like the Hemp Sisters. You know, we need people like you to lead from the front, to tell people what you're doing, what the solutions are, cutting the bullshit. You know, not telling people what they want to hear, but what they need to hear. And you guys are leaders. I know that for a fact.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
piggyback on what you were saying as far as recognition and the time being now. You know, Gina and I are old enough to live in a time where if you had a family member or the neighbor down the street had a mental illness, how hard everybody fought to not let that secret be known. Their daughter was in an institution. Like, we're old enough to know that.
It was the deep secrets of the families, like these deep, dark secrets.
I have a very dear friend like that too.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, but where you're right to say about it being the time now is that time has brought, you know, more experiences to people in this, you know, culture, right? So now people before, you know, from your family to have an experience with mental health.
Right, and you don't need to be in a straitjacket. It's the average person.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what I think. There's again with that stigma, people don't understand that. It doesn't mean you've been put away somewhere and you can't be in society anymore. It's the average person just struggling and trying to get through their daily life and deal with what life has brought them in the last few decades or whatever it is.
That's absolutely a great knowledge.
They grow over your life. You know, being a professional, that's how you see that. You see adults transforming into decades of mental health. You know?
It's a great example, you know. Excuse me. It's a great example. You touched on it just now about the perception is having a straitjacket on.
Right.
You know, or you know, people with schizophrenia are scary.
Yeah, they're scary and crazy, right?
It's the other way around. Excuse me, Mom. Excuse me. It's the other way around, you know. And the problem is that you've got the one extreme where you talk about people who are institutionalized, and then you get the other extreme where people appear really good on the outside, but inside they're going, the mind or their lives are in turmoil. You know, and I use this analogy a lot, and you may or may not have heard of it, but you know, life is like it's like a duck on a pond. You know, you see the duck on the surface, nice and flowing, and it looks very peaceful, and you've got it, Lois, and you know, underneath those little legs are flapping, going crazy.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like, you know, that's what it's like, and people are like that, and then you ask them, how are they? And it's like, oh, fine, everything's really
good,
everything's dandy, everything's fantastic, everything's going great, you know, but inside they're like that, you know, and it's really good. It's really great that now we're really now starting to make things happen, and culturally, you know, businesses as well. I have to pay credit to some organisations now. They're taking it serious, but more needs to be done. And you know, not just the mind; it's the mind and body. You know, this thing of mind and body is separate, and it's not. It really isn't. It's all in one. And when we look after the mind, the body is going to be taken care of, you know.
No, yeah, there's something when I read your posts and stuff, you always seem to find that space that we create, that's like gray space between body and mind, and like articulate yourself out of that. You know what I mean? So it's really cool, like to, you know.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I keep looking at your background, and it's like fantastic. It's so nice. And, you know,
when the wind comes, the waves move. It's nice.
It's giving me peace. It's giving me peace of mind.
Good. That's our goal. What part are you at? Where are you at?
Where am I now?
Yeah.
I'm in Mexico. I'm in
like
Mexico. What part? Have you heard of Querétaro? It's
No.
with a Q. You know, when I first heard about it, English people, it's Querétaro, but it's not. It's Querétaro, like a K, Querétaro.
Okay.
You know, and it's a beautiful place. I love Mexico. It's about, I think it's about 2.5 hours from Mexico City.
Okay.
But I promise you, if you ever do come to Mexico, there's 2 places you need to go: Querétaro and San Miguel. But I've only been to various parts, and it's a special place. Special place with special people. The food, once you eat Mexican food, there's no going back. You know.
Really no going back.
I mean, that makes me want to cry. Like, that's how much I love real Mexican food, and it's impossible to find. We're from Chicago, so you know we had real Mexican food downtown.
Yes.
You were getting legit Mexican food.
Legit.
And we
legit. You know,
yeah, we haven't touched it since. Like,
came to Wisconsin.
oh my God, cheese everywhere. There's cheese. Like,
the bet, if you decide to have it again, go for chilaquiles, which is the breakfast.
Oh, okay.
It's beautiful.
Oh, it sounds delicious. Oh my God.
We've kind of been backing our retirement spots, you know, so
Yeah.
it's taking the body out. Because I never wanted to move to Florida. I was just there, and I'm like, you know, I could do it.
Yeah, we should. That sounds nice.
Nice.
Yes, it's a beautiful place. There's something for everybody. You know, you've got the weather, you've got the locations are some of the best you'll ever see. The people are just people make places. That's what I believe, and and people are just magnificent, and any excuse for a party as well. And if you've never been to a Mexican wedding, go.
Nope. Oh, that's awesome.
Brace yourself, because I've only been to I've been to a couple, and they last all night and all morning.
Awesome. Oh, that's awesome. I taught at a predominantly Mexican school for, over 10 years outside Chicago. And I ate the best food of my life. You know what I mean? I coached basketball. The kids would bring in, we'd have full meals, and I was in heaven. Oh my, they're so open and giving and loving and sharing. If they're grilling, they're calling 10 people from down the street to come over and hang out. Like it's so cool.
We're Italian. We're Italian, so it's
very similar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, very expressionate. Very expressionate. I love cool different cultures.
And the kissing, it's everywhere.
I'll have to. Well, the next time I go to the States, I'll have to pay you a visit to Chicago, because I've never been to Chicago, and I must go there. So when I'm next in the US, I'll be coming and having a beer.
Yeah, you better.
Totally.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do, like the kind of service you offer to people and how you heal people.
Yeah, well, primarily, I'm a trained psychotherapist, a clinical and medical hypnotherapist. So I use a lot of hypnosis. And I work with the unconscious mind, and so that's my profession. I'm a psychotherapist / clinical and medical hypnotherapist. So I integrate everything I do together with NLP, but in a therapeutic context. So I see people on a day-to-day basis. These days now it's mainly online, but also I do trainings as well. So I do corporate trainings, and I do I train people from all sorts of things in terms of how you can help people with their minds. So I go into companies, and if you've got a culture or individuals within a company, and let's say they're not feeling great emotionally at that particular point for whatever reason, my job is to go in there and help them and make them transform into people they know they can be, certainly unconsciously. So it's a combination of things I do. One is a therapeutic capacity, but then I go inside companies and I help them individually, or I deliver trainings as well, and help people with their own mindsets. And it's a win-win outcome, because you get a company and they have 1,000 employees, and let's say even just 1% of the workforce, let's say they're suffering inside, and that's personally, but then the professional performance starts to decrease. So what I do is help them realize the potential, but then it's about making them grow as people, making them believe that they can do anything they want, really, with the right mindset, with the right belief system. It's about empowering people, but then you've got to know how to do it as well. Because there's a lot of talk now on social media about empowerment, about releasing negative emotion, about helping improve somebody's life or somebody's frame of mind-body connection. There's a lot of talk with that, but it's the how. And what I do is I add that missing link. And I've trained and helped thousands of people from really serious conditions, with a multitude of conditions, and And I mean, I'll not go into this full story, but I'll keep it short and simple. But, you know, I remember once that a lady came to see me with a multitude of things. Mental health, she got sections, she had suicidal thoughts, she had anorexia, she had breakdowns, she was going to lose it. She lost her job, she was losing her children because of her mental health. As I said, tried to kill herself a couple of times. She had schizophrenic tendencies, agoraphobia, everything, you name it. And she'd been to see mental health specialists in the UK for about 18 months. And I got a call from the health department in the UK called the NHS. You may or may not have heard of it, the National Health Service. And I got her occupational therapist calling me and saying, you know, can you help? We believe that you're a last help. And that alarmed me somewhat because that concerned me. And I got on the phone with her, and I'm not going into too much detail. And I think it was about 8 weeks, you know, gone, everything gone. And what was really great was she went back to a psychiatrist and she said, you know, and now I'm lowering my medication, just steady, and in a very healthy way. And this is her words, not mine, but the psychiatrist was saying, I just don't understand it. I just don't understand where this has come from, how you've changed, you know? And then
well, I mean, what are people, professionals at that level, open to understanding that, or are they just writing out a prescription?
No, I try to prescribe a letter to the psychiatrist, explaining step by step what to do, and you don't really get anything back from them, and that's their downfall. There are their downfall in so not every code, in this occasion. And you're right, absolutely. It was about the medication, and the medication was doing more harm than good.
Of course, right.
The medication was causing severe symptoms, a multitude of symptoms, and there was no holistic approach. There was no holistic approach where how do you get that person from transforming and from changing, you know, and the symptoms she was getting was causing a conflict in her mind because she was thinking that the symptoms she had was just her own state of mind, when actually fact there was an incongruency because the medication was causing her symptoms, but the symptoms were not real. So that was an illusion. And you know, and this is where you guys are coming to it, the Hempy Hour, which I just think it's phenomenal. And then a couple of months later, you know, I was walking into my own local supermarket, and she had a massive fear of supermarkets. And so she walked, you know, just we bumped into each other 2 months afterwards in a supermarket, and it was a very crazy metaphorical ending. You know, she grabbed me and she was like that, and it was absolutely awesome. You know,
that's actually like the coolest, like slow motion moments. Memory,
You guys were meant to. You were both there for a reason, and that's beautiful.
Yes.
Taking the journey, and I mean, to go back to what you were saying about where she went back to her psychotherapist or psychiatrist, and he says, like, you know, I don't.
How is this possible?
How is this possible? That is pretty much the bumper sticker billboard for why both of them have to coexist.
Right.
Medicine doesn't always give all the answers. And the path with your brain and the chemicals of your mind, as you explained, it's a trial and error situation. You're looking at a body of people, you're building a treatment therapy off of a body of a population of people unrelated, not genetically, you know, together.
Right.
And you're playing with the one thing that controls everything is, you know, as far as neurological goes. You know, so it's really scary.
Absolutely.
Possibly at the end of that, really creating some conditions that didn't go away. You know,
Absolutely.
it's terrifying.
Can I ask, John, was her therapy, and not like specifics, but was her therapy, was that with her unconscious mind or her conscious mind? Because that's really intriguing to me.
Yeah, it's a great question. I love the question. It was unconscious.
Okay.
All behavior is unconscious.
I mean, I firmly believe that. You're just confirming it. That's incredible.
Yeah. All behavior is unconscious, and it starts before the person sits in the chair. It starts before the person sits in the chair. And what I mean by that is I had a chat with her, and she was in real, she was in real distress, and the way I was talking was through hypnosis. Not hypnosis like we've seen on TV where you're putting somebody to trance or something. No. It's conversational hypnosis where you are helping that person make changes unconsciously.
No.
Oh, it's just getting so good.
Hold on, John. We can't hear you. You froze. If you can hear us. I don't know. Maybe. Mary Megan?
Yeah, let's try.
Okay, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back. Okay.
Yeah, I think that was me. My apologies.
That's okay.
And yeah, there's a lot of indirect messages and indirect commands through conversational hypnosis, not where the traditional way where people think that you have to use a pendulum, which works, but I'm talking about before. So the quick answer to your question, guys, is yeah, all behavior is unconscious. And when you change the unconscious mind in terms of the belief system and how that person sees themselves and the external world, that's when you'll get profound changes, not the drugs. Not the drugs.
Ego, kind of an ego, situation, a dismantling of it, the raw, before you make a decision place.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. Nailed it.
Ask you a question if you don't mind. Feel free to answer or not, but being like the way you're describing that, in your practice, because you're more in the holistic sense, are you looking at psilocybin?
Oh my God, it jumped right in my head. I was dying to ask that.
Are you looking into the DMT experience? I mean, are you into exploring those?
Ayahuasca, if you will.
Ayahuasca.
I heard half of that. Could you just repeat that again, please?
Yeah, no, of course. Being that you are in more of a holistic method of, treatment, are you looking into psilocybin? Are you looking at, we're cannabis, but psilocybin, mushrooms? Are you looking at DMT, ayahuasca? Are these tools in your toolkit?
I would always be open to things.
Yeah.
As we discussed, now I'm going to sit here and I'm not going to pretend I know a lot about it. I don't. But one thing I do know: your industry, cannabis, medicalized cannabis, has a huge place in treatment. I know psychedelics. I know people who've used them. I know it's worked. It brought out a higher awareness in that respect, where it's caused that person to make profound changes within their lives. So would I? Absolutely, because this is the future. This is the future, because the pharmaceutical company have got away with literally. Well, I'll not say the word, but they've got away with lots of things.
Sinners, man.
And we have to change where we use alternative medicines, and you guys, what you're providing it and the education you're giving people, I think it's phenomenal. So
I would go as far as to say we're not the alternative medicine. The pharmaceuticals are the alternative medicine.
Absolutely.
And we need to come back to our roots and show them what's up.
That's a great, fantastic. Now that's going to stick with me now, and I'm going to use that because I just think it's phenomenal. And we live in a new world now where we have to now start to make changes in terms of the way we do things, because it's simply not worked now. With all this what's gone on, the pandemics and everything else, what this was feedback from Mother Nature. It was feedback tapping us on the shoulder and saying to us, it's not working. You're global, it's not working, so change. And I think you guys are now at the forefront of change, especially now in this new world we're looking at.
My favorite quote comes from George Carlin, and it's his skit about this, where he's like, "We're not worried about the planet, saving the planet. Like, hey, we're going away. You understand? Like, shaking us off. Like, please, done with us."
Absolutely.
For many reasons.
Absolutely. Yes.
You know,
Yes.
We cannot be as arrogant to think that we are not on that path. Every animal on the planet ends there. You know. So what are we doing with the time we have? Right.
Right.
Yep.
John, if someone wanted to get a hold of you, or if they wanted to hire you, you know, your services, or at least a consultation or whatever, what would they do? How would they do that?
Yeah. Well, actually, as we're talking now, what I'm doing now is I'm now developing a platform. I'm developing my website, but I'm also developing an academy because it's okay helping one person at a time. I want to help the masses. And the only way I'm going to do that is by providing a service where people can come in and use my academy so that they can make changes themselves.
I mean, you have your first 2 students. Your first 2 students.
You're more than welcome.
And let us know.
So at the moment, what I'm doing is I'm building my website. My website should be up and running in a couple of months, or maybe a month. And then I am now going to be introducing an online platform where I'll be offering a variety of different courses people can take for growth, for human evolution, to help themselves mentally and physically. Because I'm going to be doing courses not just centered around the mind, but where the mind and body meet. So I'll be doing a lot of epigenetics in terms of trainings, how the environment and how the mind and the belief system changes the reading of the DNA, and how your immune system listens to your body and your mind, should I say. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that. There's going to be some things where it's going to be some basic things, but I want to really take things to a very, very high advanced level. And the reason why I want to take it as far as I can possibly go, in terms of advanced levels of education, is because I think that's where we need to go in order for society to change and to change for the better, so we can have positive changes. And you know, I'd love to work with you guys if you allow me. So, when I do my trainings. Well, when I do my trainings with you guys, you're invited to deliver a training, more specifically about what you guys do, because I think people need to know more about what you do.
John, and vice versa. Like, a collaboration between cannabis and mental health is as good as it gets in my mind. Like, it's touching all of our hearts. It's close to everybody, and it's something that everybody needs, young and old.
The most important thing, I think it's so important because we're trying. You're not trying to disassociate from medical world, right? You're not trying to do that. What you talked about, the first thing that came to me, and the more powerful feeling, is the empowerment of what it is to be your own advocate. Right, and having access to what you kind of described there is very empowering for an individual that feels a very specific way, but can't disassociate. Right, is too caught in like the constant repetition of life. But giving them the tools, to start to unravel all of the bullshit that they think is true. Right.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's the hugest part of it.
Well, that's brilliant. That's awesome. You talk about empowerment. Society lost empowerment over 100 years ago, where we just focused on Newtonian physics. Because people, in the conventional world, it's in the conventional medical world, it's all about physical, the mechanics. That the genes control our future. In terms of if you've got a genetic default, or it's because your genes. That takes the power out of the person, and it takes the power and puts the power in the palms of the pharmaceutical companies. What we've got to do is take that power back by letting people know that it's actually the environment and our belief and perception that controls our DNA, it controls our immune system, and ultimately gives us health or not health. And I believe with you guys as well, there's a huge bridge there.
Yes.
You know, and I'm not against conventional medicine. I'm not against it. I think
not either. There's a place for it.
there is, and I think doctors are fantastic. The medical doctors are fantastic, you know, but it's the people what train them, and then it's the people at the top of the chain, the pharmaceutical companies, and that's born out of fear.
Yeah, who's building the medical authority? These are the people that actually have that power.
Who wrote the medical books?
Right, who's on the authority part of it, for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, regular education. I mean, that's your regular school. So I can only imagine medical school. Like, holy shit.
Absolutely. You know, we talk about energy as matter, but it's the quantum mechanics we need to look at now. It's the quantum energy. It's what, you know, when you look at, you know, people think it's matter what governs the world, but it's not. It's the energy in the field that shapes matter, which causes materialism, which causes things to happen in life. And when we get our heads around that, when we change the force of energy, then society changes, and then that's when we get control back.
For quantum physics, epigenetics, like epigenetics.
Absolutely.
It's the energy, it's the body's ability to turn genes on and turn genes off based on their environment. It's what happens when that energy hits that mark in your environment, like the dynamics of that.
Yeah.
It's fucking fascinating, John.
It really
Yeah,
is.
yeah, it is. It is fascinating, absolutely. And you know, the people need to learn this, and we need to learn that we are just waves of energy. You know, I don't sit there every day staring at a tree, and I don't sit there meditating for 8 hours a day. I wish I could.
Right.
You know, but I, you know, so people have this misconception about what I do and what we do. It's new age thinking. Well, it's not new age thinking. It's actually science.
Right.
And once we wrap our heads around this, and that the energy, it's the energy, but we're all, you know, we are all vibrational energy. You know, your energy. We are like, you know, it's the harmonic resonance.
Right.
And when we resonate with people and with our own bodies, and when we're in rapport with our minds and ourselves, that's when you get health. That's when you get good health.
Yes.
It's the body only becomes a problem when we're out of rapport with ourselves, you know, and that's where everything starts. It's like a pack of, it's like a house of cards, you know, and that negative emotion, one tap on the house of cards and it collapses very easily. And we've got to now start to learn how we can take control back, and that's why I'm doing training courses in the academy, so people can learn things what will never ever get taught in schools.
Right. Yo, we're on board. Whatever you need, John. Whatever you need, we're here.
Absolutely.
People think they see with their eyes. We know they see with their mind, and that's, you know,
right. That's the difference. That's the difference.
Yes.
John, we would love to have you back, you know, in a few months, and, you know, see where you're at and where your academy's at, and because we want to make sure people have this info the second they can, you know. So please keep us up to date on everything.
It would be a pleasure.
Yeah.
It would be an absolutely pleasure, Gina and Lewis. It would be. And also, you know, my training academy, my first course is going to be out not long now, in a few weeks. But what I want to do, subject to your approval, is I want to bring you on, but I also want to bring your teachings into my academy, so people then can learn and find out what it really is in real education, as opposed to education what's really not going to serve them.
No, I mean, John, that's beautiful. Like Lo said, what an honor. You know, I mean, I think you know my backstory. I taught health for 15 years. I coached basketball. It was my entire life, and I refused to teach propaganda. I refused to lie to students, and ended up being forced to resign. I was in jail. It was the biggest clusterfuck ever, and it all boiled down to just holding your ground, your moral compass, and not lying. You know what I mean? So it's an absolute joke what's actually being taught compared to what needs to be taught. So you have Lo and I hook, line, and sinker, and whatever you need.
Well, you was obviously, Ginny, you was obviously a threat to their system.
Oh, that was it.
And people, and you know, they don't like people messing with their system. And you know, and you was brave enough involved in it.
I'd like to remind us how not powerful we are, but the point of that is how powerful our voices actually are.
Yeah, I mean, all those same students are still in my, you know, they're in LinkedIn, they're in Facebook, they're in Instagram. Like, you know what I mean? We didn't go anywhere. That's what they don't understand. They didn't stop anything. All they did was fuel a fire. I have a bigger platform and we're helping more people. That's what they helped me. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. You know, and born out of this was the Hemp sisters. That was born out of that. So
yeah,
you know, things happen for a reason. Should I say?
Doors close and no more doors open, and you gotta dive through them. You gotta get in those doors.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, you're born leaders, leading from the front. You know, telling it how it is. So authentic. I love reading your LinkedIn posts.
Thank
because you know, I believe in authenticity, and I believe getting rid of fear of what to say. You know, this PC thing we've allowed ourselves to get into. We need to get out of it. Because that causes a problem, and I love reading your posts because it's so everything you say really resonates, and I can see two very real people doing a real contribution.
I mean, that's all. Thank you so much, John. That's all we want. That is the biggest compliment you can give us. Like,
go through all this in life to deliver something that was
like this is us wholeheartedly all day, every day, and either that's okay or it's not. But that's not our problem. So we're gonna keep on keeping on, and hopefully people are on board with learning and growing.
Absolutely.
Right.
We can talk like this. Get the answers we need to better our minds, our perspectives, what our mission is.
Right.
You know, if I'm busy stroking, we're gonna really get the right question out. And if I don't get the right question, I ain't getting the right answer.
Right.
You know,
and then we don't know there's an academy.
But we all are pleasant house for whatever reason. Like to get back to your bullshit, you know, PC bullshit.
It is, and my academy is really going to stir some. It's going to really stir up the
stir this up.
if you're sensitive to language and if you're sensitive to descriptions, please don't join, because it's not. I'm not here. Yeah, off the list. Bye bye. Because you know we get brought up in a system. We're always in a system. We're always boxed up. We're always told what to think. Whether that's religious dogma, whether that's in medicine, which you know we can have a chat about religion and medicine, as religion and science one day. That would be interesting. The thing is you know we get boxed up pretty much from the day we're born, and we get told what to say and not what to say, and I think life's too short to be to be conventional, to be conservative. You know, and we've got to stop doing the things what got us into this mess in the first place. You know, there was a terrifically intelligent guy, smart guy called Albert Einstein. You know, and doing the same things over and over again and expecting the same results. No, it's not. You've got to be different.
Definition of insanity.
Right. Standing over and over again and expecting different results.
That's the one. That's the one. That's the one. You know, so
you are your own savior or your own hell. You know, I mean, in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
For sure.
John, do you still have time for us to throw some questions at you?
I've got all day for you guys.
Let's do it.
All right. I'm going to really try to coordinate this like a professional, but all right. We're going to start with.
You're not a judgmental fuck, so we're okay. Finish this sentence. Vulnerability is.
Say that again.
Vulnerability is. Like, what is that to you? Being vulnerable.
Laying yourself out there.
Yes.
Just letting yourself out there. Don't be frightened of being judged, because the person doing the judgment is just looking in the mirror.
Yes. Woo! That's gonna be a piece of content right there.
It should go on the diploma we got from your from your training classes, from your academy. I want a butt person. Fantastic. I'll take a silly. All right. If you were given the opportunity to fly into space, given today's technology, would you take it?
Yes.
Are you starting there?
I would, but I would like to come back as well. And I'll tell you what, I'll tell you the reason why I would like to fly into space, because I thought about this a few years ago. What I would like to do is take my clients with me. Ooh. And I would say to them, so you're having a problem because you're not where you are in life, or you're having a problem because you didn't get that small thing in life, you haven't got it yet. You're having a problem because he or she said something bad to you. Okay, let's fly into space. Let's land on the moon. Let's point towards the Earth. Let's look at Earth.
Yeah, I love this.
Now, where's your problems?
Right. Oh, so talk about putting in perspective.
Exactly. There's something far bigger out there, and I do it myself. I mourn. I'm grumpy. You know, so Mr. Positive here isn't always positive. You know, I'm grumpy as well, and sometimes I sometimes want to throw things and I get frustrated, but
I sometimes do throw things.
Absolutely, yes. I've done that a few times, you know, I've done that a few times. So yes, I would fly, but my people with me as well, to go fly to the moon, look at Earth and say, look, this is what it's all about.
I love that. I love that. I mean, I firmly believe like there's no death. Our energy is transformed. We're just in the stars doing our thing. And
well, your signal is still out there. Your energy, your signal is still out there. So wherever you go, wherever you go, it's going to be there. So who cares?
I love it.
Man, everyone's thought I was so crazy my whole life. I feel real good right now. Besides you. You got it. Most people. All right. What is one of your favorite memories?
One of my favorite. Oh, now that is a tough question.
Yeah,
what's one of my favorite memories? My favorite memory. Gosh, you've caught me. You've really got. I didn't think you would catch me out. I'm going to be quick for the purpose of time.
For the day you met the Hemp sisters.
One of my favorite memories was, I guess, one of my favorite memories was actually at the time winning in you know, you guys call it soccer. Brian, we call it football. Exactly. And I think I was around 10 years old and we was playing, you know, and we won this competition and we won it. But what was really made it stand out for me was the first time I ever won anything in terms of achievement. And what that proved to me was that if you work hard enough and you focus and you let that self-doubt go outside of your head, you know, you can really achieve anything. Now, it doesn't matter how big or small it is. And that was one of my first achievements because, you know, when I was at school, you know, school never really interested me, I'll be honest. You know, quite frankly, it bored me. And therefore, as a consequence, I suffered, which was my responsibility. That has to be acknowledged. But I'm dyslexic. And let me tell you, it's a challenging thing when you're 12 years old, still trying to write certain things and comprehend things. So winning that tournament in football or in soccer, if you're from the States, really was a gate that opened, a gate of possibility. You know, so that was one of my favorite memories.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that's really cool, man. That's real cool.
And that's one of the biggest things sports gives you, that, you know, the confidence and just, you know, I love it.
Yeah, if you go back to like a memory, like I would say, like mine is about sports too, and it's something that I got from my dad after being competent on something. It's like, yeah, like they're all three of them tied to sports.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Absolutely. Any more? Bring them on. Bring them on.
What is one thing about you that would surprise people?
That's a good question. I think what surprises is that the general perception is people think I'm a nice guy. I'm a very nice guy. I'm a very nice guy, and I will always help people. But sometimes the odd fuck word, the odd fuck word comes out, and the odd the right word, controversial thing might come out, and that raises eyebrows, especially when they're really conservative. I love it. You know, when people are by nature judgmental. You know, when they're really judgmental, and whatever makes them judgmental. If it's real, judgment in religion in terms of really judgmental or something like that. I love to make comments. Something that's a little bit taboo. Something taboo, and that surprises people. But you've got to wait for the right moment. You've got to wait until they're drinking the first sip, so that you tell them a bit. No.
That's awesome. No, right? You're not a Virgo, are you?
No, Taurus. It was my birthday yesterday.
That's awesome.
So close. You're kindred spirit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're my kindred spirit.
All right. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Ooh, good one.
What advice would I give myself as an 18-year-old? Don't worry about the future.
Yes.
It's probably an old cliche. Most people don't worry about the future. But it's very easy said than done, especially when you're in that moment of uncertainty. So what I would really say to my 18-year-old self would, don't worry about the future. Focus on the present. Okay, you can have an eye on the future, but don't look too far. Don't look 20 years, in 20 years, at 38 years old when you're in your 40s. So I would say to myself, take care of now.
I love that.
Focus on now. Stop worrying about the future and let go of uncertainty. Because you're going to be uncertain in times, whether you like it or not, John. You're going to be uncertain. There's going to be times in your life where you're not going to be certain about something. So just embrace it.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think if we set those expectations so hard for ourselves when we get to that age, we are hard on ourselves.
Setting yourself up for failure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
And that knows is the time it takes to get there. Like that's it. There is no.
I love that.
Absolutely.
That's a phenomenal answer.
You're killing the rapid fire. How would you rate your karaoke skills on a scale of 1 to Mariah?
Oh, fucking hell.
That's a 1.1.
It's a -1.
They're off the wall.
In Mexico, they love to sing, and you know what? There's some talented people in Mexico who can sing, and they get, of course, they're going to get me on karaoke. My favorite song I like to sing is.
What was it?
Tequila.
Do you not gather the mic while it's happening and just drink, and then when it's time to drop it, you do drop it?
Tequila's the song, because I don't know if you've heard the song Tequila.
It's the only word. This is the only lyric.
Tequila. I'm so bad. I'm so bad. I even missed the timing.
All right, so now
you're definitely going karaoke with you. For sure.
There's nothing better than singer. Oh, I love it. All right, so you. All right, what qualities do you value in the people with whom you spend time?
Integrity.
Yes.
Integrity, and how you treat people. I think integrity with how you treat people. I judge people on how they treat other people.
Me too.
And whether maybe I shouldn't judge that other person, of course, but no, I'm a big believer in treating human beings with respect, with love, with comfort, with open and honest, with quality conversations. But right at the top of my list is how you integrity with people, how you deal with people. You know, there's this. I remember the quote word for word, but you know, integrity is when you do something good without people even looking.
But nobody's watching. Exactly.
You know, and
integrity is learned behavior, or is it something that do you feel like integrity is a learned behavior, or is it a inherent to your character?
I think predominantly it's the environment you say it's learned behavior, and I would say yes, predominantly. But you know, and then I think it requires a complex answer, because I think then your ego takes into place. Your ego, your environment, and you know, sometimes we have impulsive behavior to deal with people or how we treat people. So I guess it's a combination of a lot, but I think the biggest one is the environment you've been brought up in at that particular point. Yeah. You know, from growing up, how you treat people.
I love it.
Very unique type of compass, right? It's
much needed.
Yeah.
All right, if you could leave our viewers with one final tidbit of awesomeness, what would it be?
I think just be yourself.
Oh, God, we love you.
You know, don't have this facade, don't create a facade how people want you to be. You know, go on how you want to be. That's my phone telling me. That's my music manager.
Tequila.
Yeah, he's watching this, and he's ringing up now, calling me. You know, can I perhaps get on a on a song? You know, that was my music manager. That was Simon Cowell, by the way.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think be yourself.
Brothers Nation leader.
Brothers Nation.
Yeah,
you're in.
Seriously. We're trying to be
Absolutely. I think be yourself, though. I think be yourself, and just be yourself, but look to do good for people as well. You know, and I guess that's probably a long-winded answer, but be yourself. Let go of judgment. Let go of worrying about what people think of you. You know, and if you're yourself, if you take off your mask. If you expose yourself, not expose yourself in that way, unless you're a naturist. Maybe a naturist. Well, if you're a naturist, go crazy with it. But
whatever makes you comfortable.
Whatever makes you comfortable. You know, you don't know. You think I've just got this top on, and you think I've got jeans on? Forget it.
I mean, do you think we're wearing anything other than tops? You're out of your mind. Bottoms are not for us.
The other part.
The podcast and OnlyFans is for the table down. Yep. Holy shit! What an awesome way to end a podcast. Holy shit!
That's fantastic.
John, thank you so much for your time today.
Pleasure is mine. Pleasure is mine.
I mean, we already adored you, and we knew this would be like this. Like, we're like, we can't wait for this, but just thank you. Thank you for being you.
No, thank you.
We want to be part of.
Yeah, you're stuck with us now.
Absolutely. No, it's been a pleasure, and I'd love to come back. And you know, when I get my live podcasts, video podcast, even my because I have a audio podcast as well. Okay. I would love it if you guys could come on.
Yes, I would love that.
Because I want you to spread the message with the mission you guys are on, and I would love it. If you want to go on my podcast, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to.
Yes, we're in. Just let us know when. Thank you.
Will do.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, John. Have an amazing evening.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
One love.
Bye-bye.
Oh, guys. You know, we've had some really good podcasts, but you know, we don't know John in person. Like we met John on social media, we met John on LinkedIn, and you know, you just get those vibes. Like sometimes you just get vibes from people, and you just click, and you know that you know there's that synergy and that chemistry, and that's everything I thought it would be, and then some.
Yeah, my first comment he was talking about personality traits, and I was going through my Enneagram phase, if you remember.
Yes,
yeah. I was like, "Ooh, this is interesting," and then just every day, it's
Well, yeah, and I mean, you guys know. I mean, we're like John said, like we're an open book on social media. Like you're gonna know shit that you don't want to know about us. You know, that's just how we are, and we know there's somebody out there that's going to relate to it. So, being open and honest and being able to talk about mental health, we all struggle. We all have stresses and anxieties, and you know, we go through depressive states, and it's okay, and it needs to be talked about. There doesn't need to be a stigma. No one needs to be embarrassed. Because we're all human.
You don't have to every day wake up and go publicly about what happens the moment you open your eyes to your clothes. But you have to be able to have that out, to be able to say something when you have to say something.
Yes. And know that someone's listening and you're not alone. And no matter what you are going through, you are not alone. Okay. And just Lois and I, our Hemp Sisters Nation, we're here from you. This is everything we believe in: community, love, and light, and being there for one another. So you guys know this by now, and we're not going to stop. We're going to shove it down our throats.
We know what it means to us, and we want to know what it means to you, right?
Yes.
What we can do.
Yes. So again, we thank you for joining us, whether you are watching or listening. We appreciate your time, and we hope you have an amazing rest of your evening. One love.
All right. The beach. I'm gonna just jam it up at the beach. God, thank you so much, man. Have a good one.
I said, welcome